Hi, this is a guide to tuning this specific batch of lead lyres. It's really, I suspect, defined by the strings I put on it, which, you could replace. So you could change its pitch, thinner the wire at the top, the higher you can go. I like them all to be bound. There's a kind of clash when you go from bound strings, as in wound strings is probably the right word. Wound strings. When you go from wound strings to unwound strings, just straight strings, it kind of sounds really clashy. The rule of thumb I have on kind of like what I'm on all the time, so I'm going to call it easy mode, but it is kind of easy mode, but for me it's mostly enough, is diatonic, which is, I joked about it, do, a deer, a female deer, Ray, Sound of Music. You know, I didn't play that very well. It is actually how I used to tune them. Um, One of my kind of weird oddnesses is I like one extra note at the top, and I'm willing to sacrifice one at the bottom. So the thing I find with lyres, the lyres that I build, it's the thing I find with all lyres is that they've got a definite kind of tone that they lend themselves to. It's quite hard to I'm going to simulate this. Yeah, if it's too low, you end up with your bottom note sounding like this. Oh well, not quite like that. Kind of rubber bandy, and you want it to sound like a solid note. If they get too loose, somehow they become quite vague. And then the other thing that's really obvious is that if you tighten that one too much, it snaps. My top string feels ridiculously tight, so but that always feels like a bit of a dare. Ooh, I'll knock it up I'll knock it up 3 notes. Also, I think the higher tuned it is, the more likely it is to detune. Another obvious thing, well, not obvious thing actually, another not at all obvious thing, is that some of them I tune to a scale and keep them there, and some of them I tune and I move them about because they're like my kind of playthings. And one thing I'll say is that when you tune a lyre, it's after the 3rd tune that it begins to kind of accept the notes. So when you first tune it, you'll only get about an hour of playing it like that before it's out of tune if you're lucky. Then you'll tune it again and it'll start sounding nice, and that might last. And if you continue tuning it on that scale, it will generally stay to that scale, but you do need to tune them a lot. Definitely one of the things I envy guitarists for is the amount of tuning they have to do. It's much less. I also think knowing a tune that you like, tuning to a song that you like, or having a song that you like in the scale that you want. that's one of my own tunes, but because I know it quite well, if it's out of tune, I'll really know it, and it will really sting. But yeah, the simple thing to know is, I'll put that more in view so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Oh no, here we go. That I have the extra high note is a taste thing. I found that even nursery rhymes always go one note over, so I do really appreciate having that extra high note on a scale. I find I can play more songs that way, but that is totally my personal preference. I don't know anyone else who does it. I think it also makes me a little bit more prone towards being original, in that I tend to start my songs on D. So even though I'm playing on the same scale as nursery rhymes, I tend not to sound quite so nursery rhyme. But, you know, somebody told me it was something like Lydian D or something I've got it tuned to. I don't know what that means really. But yeah, somehow that it makes it more interesting. And like you were saying yourself, you know, the kind of the holy grail is to find your own scale and tune it to that. There's one I do that is my kind of my cultural appropriation of the East scale, which I really enjoy playing with, although I've never got quite as at home with it as I have with the kind of straightforward, what we now think of as European diatonic. And in fact, if you play kind of ancient music, diatonic's a good bet, because in fact, diatonic is older in the East than it is than the other systems. So you're kind of ironically being faithful to the core if you just play with the old diatonic. You know, I think you find it all diatonics all over the world. We think of it as a Western thing. It's not. What else can I add to tuning it? In your situation, I would tune this one to C on the highest scale. See, I don't even know if that is C. The other thing is that diatonic doesn't necessarily mean, you know, there is diatonic C. I'm probably inventing phrases here, which is what all little children's toys are made to sound like. It's a standard sort of thing. But I don't know that that's not D, or E, or F, or G, or anything. What it really is for me at the moment, and I guess while you're mucking about with it, I'd kind of recommend it that, because you might want to change the strings at some point. Try and go just for the note that sounds right, feels right, is comfortable on the lyre. Like I said, I think they are restricted by this, yeah? And my having 2 octaves on it is pretty ambitious. Most of them only have about 8 strings. I think I've recently discovered that the closest thing to something that became a kind of formal thing is that I'm building is a kithara, which is a Roman lyre. Although, you know, if you go back in time, there's lots of lyres with lots of different numbers of strings. Anything else? Totally up for meeting if you want to. I'm making this video for a specific person. Totally up for meeting if you want to if you want me to tune it once and see what I think is right. I don't think there is a right answer. There will be a range of right, but in fact, I don't think there is a right. You know, I don't even know if my 2 you know, let's. That's what I decided C was on this instrument. Let's see what I decided C was on this one. This one is properly tuned. I don't think they're even related. I have this suspicion that what's happened here is that I tuned this with Asda's. I originally strung this with Asda's cheapest strings, which tend towards higher pitch, yeah, which has ended up working in my favour, whereas the other one has like really quite nice quality guitar strings on it. Definitely strings are a thing, although you'll also notice that this one's got a tighter arc, which I suspect gives me a little bit more leeway. I can't remember how arc, a tighter gradient. I can't remember how tight the gradient on that one was. The lyre that you've got, I had it for about 2 days. It was quite popular, so when I got it home, somebody borrowed it, went away for a while. They wanted to keep it for a bit longer, got it back. I think, yeah, 2 days later you came around and got it, yeah. So I didn't spend much time getting to know it. I think it's probably lower pitch than this one. I think it's probably slightly higher pitch than this one. And I know that with the right strings, it will do whatever you like. You know, that is an art that I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop the video now and I'll post it on YouTube and you can have a look at it. And anonymous person, I've not mentioned your name. Anyway, speak later.